Before the crown and the ashes, there was a barefoot boy riding behind a hedge knight. Aegon Targaryen, youngest son of Maekar I, hid his silver hair beneath a cap and answered only to Egg. At the side of Sir Duncan the Tall, he learned the kingdom not from thrones and tapestries, but from muddy roads, market stalls, and the hard truths of small folk lives. They slept in barns and orchards, bled in tourneys they could scarcely afford, and saw lords who were cruel and lords who were kind, and learned which mattered more. In those wandering years, Egg discovered that justice is a face, not a law, a hand held out, not a seal pressed in wax. When the realm later called him king, it was this boy the small folk remembered, the squire who listened. Fate pulled him from the road with a violence only Westeros can manage. His father fell at Summerhall, his elder brothers were dead or unfit, and a great council, seeking steadiness more than glory, looked at the long table of claimants and chose the unlikely. The hedge knight bowed to a boy he loved like a son. The boy bowed to a destiny he had never wanted. "A king," Egg murmured to Sir Duncan as the hall roared, "must remember the weight of a loaf of bread." It would be the measure he tried to rule by. Aegon V mounted the Iron Throne with calluses on his palms and a stubborn brightness in his eyes. He had no patience for the powdered parasites who haunted courts. He preferred clean ledgers, straight answers, and the plain speech of soldiers and stewards. He trimmed the royal pageantry, cut waste from the household, and sent auditors into sleepy castles where taxes had become suggestions. Gold returned to the coffers, not to gild feasts, but to repair roads, granaries, and harbours ravaged by a generation of neglect. He toured the realm as no Targaryen had in an age, arriving without warning at sept and smithy, asking after prices of grain, watching how quickly a lord's men mustered when the beacons were lit. Petitions that once died in the dark of the Tower of the Hand were dragged into sunlight. When a river lord starved his tenants to fund a new hall, the king rode out and took his table, chair, and title. "The strength of the crown is the strength of its people," Aegon said, and for a while the words felt true. But every justice wounds a privilege. The great houses muttered that the king had forgotten his place. He answered with more reforms, caps on illegal tolls, curbs on private war, protections for small folk against arbitrary levies. In quiet rooms, the old families counted grievances as if weighing steel. The boy who had been Egg was learning that a crown is not only iron and rubies, it is the sum of every grievance sharpened into a dagger. Aegon believed the realm could be bound not only by law, but by kinship. He hoped to weld old hatreds into new alliances with marriages of state, to draw lords and crown together with careful vows. The dragon, however, breathes where it will. Prince Duncan, the king's heir, soft-spoken and fierce of heart, renounced his claim for Jenny of Oldstones, a peasant girl with a song in her eyes. Jaehaerys and Shira, Aegon's other children, chose each other in secret defiance of every match he had patiently arranged. The great lords called it folly, the king called it love, and swallowed the cost. Every promise broken for affection was a treaty broken for politics, and the old houses never forgot. Still he pressed on. If the lords would not be softened by kinship, perhaps the realm could be united by wonder, by the living symbol of a house that once ruled the skies. In the vaults and storerooms of Dragonstone, beneath dust and memory, lay eggs. Dead stone or sleeping miracles, no man could say. Aegon listened to septons and pyromancers, to alchemists and singers, to a woods witch whose prophecies moved like river mist. He did not dream of conquest. He dreamed of a single hatchling on the palace roof, a creature of awe to quiet the pride of men. The maesters frown upon dreams. Kings, too, should have been taught to do the same. Yet the boy who had learned mercy in farmyards could not help but believe that wonder might do what swords could not. Reform is a slow blade against thick bark. For every toll house swept clean, another sly fee appeared under a different name. For every cruel castellan cast down, a cousin rose with a kinder smile and the same hard hand. Aegon's progresses grew longer, his letters grew sharper. The small folk cheered his banners, but food grows where fields are safe, and safety comes when lords are content, or cowed. He could not be everywhere. No king can. In council, Aegon argued until his throat was raw. He wanted firebreaks cut in the royal forests, new weirs to steady fisheries, weights and measures standardized across lordships that clung to their riddled old rods and stones. He funded orphanages and healers' houses, then watched winter sweep them thin. "We built a dam against a river," he told Sir Duncan, "and the river keeps coming." Duncan answered with the unanswerable, "Then we keep building." There is a loneliness to honest rule. The king slept less, prayed more, and walked the silent galleries of the Red Keep at night, pausing beneath dragon skulls whose empty sockets seemed to share his worry. He was not a sorcerer, nor a conqueror, only a man trying to hold a loud, hungry country together by will. More and more, his eyes turned south, to Summerhall, that small, half-forgotten Targaryen seat where the past felt near, and the air, some nights, carried the faintest scent of rain on hot stone. They gathered at Summerhall on a night heavy with omens. Family and friends, loyalists and dreamers. King Aegon V, Prince Duncan the Small, Sir Duncan the Tall, singers and septons, alchemists with their green fire secrets, and those who believed a promise hung over the Targaryen line like a morning star. The eggs were placed with rites half remembered and half invented. Wind chimes sang in doorways, prayers and formulae tangled in the rafters. Someone spoke of the prince that was promised. Someone else stacked the kegs of wildfire a little too near. What happened next no chronicle can agree upon. Some say a storm broke the night, some say an accident, some a fatal confluence of zeal and chance. But the fire that came was no hearth's comfort. It leapt like a starving thing, drank air, devoured beams, turned song into screams. Duncan the Tall vanished into the blaze once, and then again, and did not return. Prince Duncan chose love and died for it, pulling Jenny or a trapped handmaid, or only smoke, no man can be sure. Aegon V stood in the light of his last, greatest hope and found it a pyre. When the sun rose, Summerhall was a bowl of blackened stones and hissing steam. In the ruin, among the ashes and shattered eggs, a child's first cry rose thin and fierce. Prince Rhaegar Targaryen had been born in the very hour the fire died. The singers called it a miracle. The maesters wrote coincidence and turned the page. The king who had chased wonder was gone, and with him the last honest attempt to bind Westeros to something greater than itself. They carried Aegon the Unlikely home in silence. The small folk wept for the king who had remembered their names. The great lords measured a world newly emptied of its scold and conscience. The realm did not fall, realms seldom do in a day, but something in it bent and never straightened. In taverns, old men would tap the table and say that the dragons truly died at Summerhall, whether any had hatched or not. On the throne sat Jaehaerys II, dutiful and drawn, inheriting peace laced with kindling. In a cradle, Rhaegar slept while grown men argued about songs and prophecies and debts unpaid. Far away, in places where sellswords swear by coin instead of crowns, the last ragged shadows of the Blackfire name made their plans. Aegon's dream had been simple, a kinder realm, held together by decency and awe. His legacy was harder, a world that had seen a king try and fail with everything he had. The boy called Egg had wanted a loaf of bread to weigh the same in every hand. History gave him fire. In the next episode, duty hardens into necessity. Jaehaerys II Targaryen inherits a kingdom singed by Summerhall and menaced from across the sea. As the banners of the Ninepenny Kings rise, the last embers of the Blackfire claim flare for the final time. Knights will be made, legends will be forged, and the dragon line will pay one more price to keep the realm whole. The dream is gone. What remains is war.